Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. Today I got another story about Percy Jackson author Rick Riordan, fresh off of him admitting that he is a racist and then claiming that his fans and his readers are racist. We discovered a now deleted blog post where he actually claims that being white is, quote, a drawback. So I wrote this article up earlier today. We're going to kind of go over it. First his posts claiming that he was a racist and then everyone else is a racist too, including his fans and readers. And then we're going to kind of go in where he talks about claiming that being white is a drawback. So here we go. Here's my headline. Rick Riordan wasn't lying when he asserted he was a racist, claimed being white was a drawback in now deleted blog post. So if you haven't been really following this story, Percy Jackson and the Olympians novelist Rick Riordan recently claimed that he was a racist while also decrying his own readers and fans as racists if they disagreed with race-swapping Annabeth Chase. So Riordan and Disney announced that they were race-swapping both Annabeth Chase and Grover Underwood in the upcoming live-action adaptation of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Riordan appears to be only taking issue with fans taking issue with Annabeth Chase, even though we've made it abundantly clear that we have an issue with them race-swapping Grover as well. But as you can see here, even on Rick's website, Annabeth Chase, blonde white girl, that's how he describes her in his books as well. He describes her as having tan skin, stereotypical California girl with blonde hair. She's also depicted that way in the official graphic novel adaptations as well. And so he posted this blog post earlier this week titled Lee Jeffries is Annabeth Chase. In the blog post, he writes, admitted that he was a racist when he wrote this. Racism, colorism isn't something we have or don't have. I have it, you have it, we all do, and not just white people like me, all people. He added, it's either something we recognize and try to work on, or it's something we deny. Saying I am not racist is simply declaring that you deny your own biases and refuse to work on them. So even if you say you aren't racist, you are still racist in Rick Riordan's demented view of how things work, because that's what it is. That's a demented view. It is critical race theory. It is absolutely a racist theory. As you can see here, he's pretty much making it abundantly clear that it is a racist theory, because you clearly see everyone as being racist, which is just an utterly absurd notion, and any kind of anecdotal evidence proves that a lie. People aren't racist in real life when you meet them. It's just utterly absurd to claim that everyone is racist when indeed, when you meet people, you meet plenty of them that are not racist, and the majority of people are not racist in the United States. But again, this is what he wrote. He is admitting that he is a racist, and then he's claiming everyone else is racist. I'm not going to get into the part where he kind of literally goes through an argument that says that because Annabeth is white in his original novels, that him changing her to black, it means that that is a racist statement. That is not racist at all. And that's how, there's nothing really else to say. It is not racist. So apparently he wasn't lying when he claimed that racism is something he has, thus admitting he's a racist. In a now deleted blog post from July 2020, Riordan claimed that being white was a drawback. The post, titled Feathers, Why Feathers, addressed why his character Piper, who is half Cherokee, she's also the daughter of Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, is described as wearing feathers in her hair. While detailing the research he did into the Cherokee, Riordan took issue with historian James Mooney's race. This is what he wrote. For Piper's background, I started with James Mooney's book, History, Myths, and Sacred Formulas of the Cherokee. Now, Mooney was a white guy, so that's a drawback. That is racism right there. He is being racist towards James Mooney, towards a person simply because he's white. He's saying that because he is white, it is a drawback. That is absolutely a racist statement, and it's utterly absurd to make that claim that because he is a white guy, he can't do a good job as a historian, or that it somehow is a drawback to him being a historian documenting the Cherokee. What's really interesting is that, as you can read here, he goes on to say that most of the sacred stories that Tristan and Piper talk about in Heroes of Olympus come from Mooney's collection. That's right, he literally adapted a lot of the stories from Mooney's history into his novels in his Heroes of Olympus series. He also claims that Mooney's work is still the most comprehensive collection of Cherokee stories available from that time. So despite him claiming that him being white was a drawback, he still exploited the work for his own gain. Another point is that Riordan claims Mooney being white is a drawback, but he seemingly doesn't realize that if you use his own logic, that he must view himself as a drawback as well. After all, Riordan is white, and he adapted the Cherokee stories into his novels that were documented by Mooney. So one would think that he shouldn't even be writing these types of stories, given the fact that he is a white person and based on his own beliefs on the matter. But nevertheless, he does it anyways because critical race theory is a lie, and these people are just pushing it in order to justify their own heinous actions, as we see Riordan did. But getting back to his claim that Mooney being white is a drawback, I think the most galling one is when he later wrote this. After Mooney's book, I turned to the work of Robert J. Conley, a writer and member of the Cherokee Nation, the Western Cherokees. His Cherokee Nation is the official history of his people, sanctioned by the Western Cherokee leadership. Incidentally, the book draws heavily on Mooney as a source, which goes to show how reliant we are on earlier imperfect written records. Mooney is mentioned 92 times. So again, he's trying to throw shade against Mooney again because claiming that it's an earlier imperfect written record, despite that he's sourced 92 times in this officially sanctioned history book written by Robert J. Conley. So I actually did a little bit of digging into this, and Conley actually credits Mooney for collecting the best known origin tales of the Cherokee. This is in the Cherokee Nation, a history by Robert J. Conley. Conley writes, "It certainly never entered into any of the origin tales of the Cherokees." He's talking about the whole like land bridge theory, about how Asian people walked across a land bridge between Russia and Alaska and then kind of entered into North and South America. But he goes on to say this: "It certainly never entered into any of the origin tales of the Cherokees. Here is the best known, collected by James Mooney in North Carolina between 1887 and 1890, and published by the Bureau of American Ethnology in 1900. So Conley is actually crediting Mooney and his work for being the best known collected history of Cherokee origin tales. But apparently, in Rick Riordan's mind, that is a drawback, even though we have Conley, who is a member of the Cherokee and wrote an officially sanctioned Cherokee history book, crediting him for the best known collected origin tales. You literally can't make this kind of stuff up. I mean, it's just demented what Rick Riordan is saying here and trying to justify his own behavior. So we also didn't just get him claiming that being white is a drawback in the now deleted blog post, but it also exposed just how weak of a person he is, how weak his character is, how he lacks any kind of integrity, which we've kind of seen. But he was telling us that he didn't have any integrity back in 2020. He admits that he would have radically altered his books if we were writing them today or in 2020, the year the blog post was written. His reasoning: societal norms change. This is what he said. Having said that, would I do anything differently if I were writing Heroes of Olympus in 2020? Of course, I would probably do many things differently because these books are 5 to 10 years old. Societal norms change. My mindset and understanding of issues change all the time. Books are always a product of their time. They reflect the state of the author's skill and worldview when they were created. We write them hoping they will be timeless, but knowing full well they will become dated, sometimes very quickly. While true, societal norms do change over time, as anyone living in the United States can attest. As an example, Disney, the company Riordan works for, is actively promoting transgenderism and even funding child mutilation through their benefits packages. Now, the societal norms might have changed, but what doesn't change is what is right and wrong. Those are static. Disney promoting transgenderism and paying for child mutilation is still wrong today, as it was wrong 20 or 100 years ago, or whatever number you want to add there. It's still wrong. It doesn't matter how many years in the past you go. It doesn't matter that societal norms are now promoting it. It is still wrong. Someone who is very clearly adapting their mindset and understanding of issues to the change in societal norms is a person who lacks integrity, and Riordan's lack of integrity has shown itself in the fruit he now bears, namely describing himself as a racist and then lashing out at his fans and readers as racist simply because they want a live-action adaptation to reflect the source material. An action that is not racist, no matter what Rick Riordan purports to claim, based on his ever-changing mindset and understanding that adapts to whatever the societal norms happen to be of the day. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Those are kind of my thoughts on the matter. I don't really have anything else to add, given I kind of wrote it up right there. But let me know what you think. What do you think about Rick Riordan? What do you think about him saying that being white is a drawback and that his kind of mindset changes based on what the societal norms of the day are? My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.